Okay, so now that we've gotten rid of the items that we don't need for the installation, this is pretty much everything you're going to need. Where you're going to start with, obviously, is getting your bracket mounted, or at least marked for mounting, into the school bus. This is going to vary, obviously, from bus to bus, per your specific application as to how the school district or the state allows you to mount it. For my application, what I do is I take the bracket onto the bus, locate the bracket where I'm going to want it mounted. I'll take my marker and I'll put a dot in each one of these holes on the surface that I'm going to mount. That way those are marked on the steel panel. Then I can take this, go to my unit, flip it over. Take these 6 screws out. You're going to mount this, the curved side, down on the unit. So it acts as a standoff essentially from the unit to its mounting location. I start these with my fingers just to prevent stripping or cross threading rather. Okay, center it up and then just a little snug, doesn't have to be hard, just a couple of pops out of the ratchet. And there you go. The bracket's mounted, it's ready to mount into the bus wherever you have that located. Next thing is going to be installing your router. This can only go in one way. It is a USB connection. Flat side, round side. See, it's flat on this side, curved corners here. So it just goes in there, drop in, press it into the USB. You're going to want to make sure that you've already put in your SIM cards. Have those installed, whether it be 1 or 2. If you are only using 1 SIM card, make sure it is in the SIM 1 slot. This is SIM slot 1, SIM slot 2. This one has 2 SIM cards. Then you're going to use the provided bracket to hold it in place. It comes standard with a bracket that only has 3 openings. We needed 5, so it comes with this extra bracket. Those tabs lock in to a couple of grooves there. Screw that on, again, just finger tight. Next, you're going to put on your antennas. For these antennas, these are your Wi-Fi antennas. They articulate this way and they have a 90-degree articulation here. Just screw it onto the unit. Once you're screwing it on, just lightly finger snug. It does not need to be really tight on there. And then you can pivot this however you need it. Now I will say, especially in the confined spaces on the buses, ideally for installation, you're going to want, if you have the room, you can turn this out of the way and then install your next antenna. If you don't have the option to do that and this has to stay out, you're going to want to make sure that this flat side is facing the next antenna port. The reason being is if it's turned this way, you're not going to be able to screw on the next antenna. So just make sure that is flat facing the next antenna port. And now it's a bit snug and they'll bump against each other, but it does go on there quite easily. And again, finger snug and line it up. Because it is just a USB port connection, you're going to notice the router is in there, it just kind of bounces around, but it's as connected as it needs to be. It's not like held in place firmly by this bracket, but it will not slide out of that USB connection. All right, so those are snug in place. Now we'll go over to your other antennas. You're going to have two 5 gigahertz antennas. One here. Again, just finger tight. They don't need to be screwed on super tight. Just finger tight. And then you have your 2.4 gigahertz antennas. And again, these two, let's say this thing was being mounted flat somewhere and you wanted your antennas up, you can rotate them and they will all point up. Same thing here. These can go up. You notice this one is turned in the wrong direction, so you can just slightly turn it until you see your angle there. Turn it, pull it up. There you go. So that's if it affords that opportunity. Our current application has all of these down, all of these this way, and because it is mounted against a flat surface like this, we can leave them extended. In some cases, we do have it where these are protruding in a spot where they may be hit. In those cases, I may turn all of these up like this, just to have them out of the way. So you have a lot of flexibility with the antennas, and the same thing with these. You can move these, oh, that came loose. You can move these out of the way wherever fits your application best. Next thing is going to be connecting your power supply. First, you're going to connect these wires. You will only need, and we'll see this later in some other instructions, but you're only going to need one of these black wires. You only need a singular ground wire. Then you're going to have your, ground that you actually use, your 12 volt full-time power supply, and then this is going to be your ignition on 12 volt power supply. So either accessory mode or just as the ignition turns on, this will supply an additional 12 volt power supply. This plugs into the back of the unit right here. And there you go. That is the entire unit put together and ready for installation.